In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about Blackhawks being part of history, the Bulls backcourt being fun, the Bears. We are 2.5 weeks out from the draft, and the Cubs are starting to turn it around a little bit. But first, like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You could see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. The season is going on right now, so make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, and I want to say I'm going to give you a little credit because we were debating. I mean, I guess not really debating, but we were speculating if Alex Ovechkin was going to break the all-time record this year, and he did. And I think that once he started to reach single digits, we were feeling pretty good that he was going to do it.
Yeah, it's and it was cool because he tied the record against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, he did. And I honestly, I thought he was going to get the hat trick for the record-breaking goal because he scored the first one pretty quickly, and then he scored the second one. And when you figured that they had the lead late, you're like, all right, they're probably going to pull their goalie, right? So he's going to have an empty net. Although I think I don't want to say would have been a buzzkill, but I think there's plenty of people who would think I don't really want it to be an empty net. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean the goal that ended up being the one that broke the record was a nice goal too.
Oh, it was such a Alex Ovechkin goal. There he was all alone and just fired an absolute laser to the back of the net. And I was even saying that on Twitter too. I'm like, look, this record-breaking goal needed to be a goal like that. Just an absolute snipe. And instead of an empty net goal, like I said, or something at the doorstep where you're banging away and you're not sure if the puck is in yet, and then it kind of trickles in and people are kind of waiting around, and all of a sudden people are throwing their hands up, or not some like weird deflection where you're like, was that his goal? Was that not his goal? We got to look at it and see whose goal it was. Just a straight up snipe, and it was perfect the way he just shot it, went in, and he did that celebration. He turned and he did the slide across the ice. The whole crowd going insane. It was a road game, but let's be real. Those people went to that Islanders game to watch history. They were paying that premium price to see history be made. So that was a really, really cool moment. And I could only imagine if that had happened in Washington. Like, the only thing that could have gone better is if that happened in Washington at home. No matter where it was going to happen, it was going to be a historic, unbelievable moment. But boy, if that was at home, just imagine that, that siren going off. And I think they have like those steam valve things that go off. So that's the only thing that would have made it better. Otherwise, I think it was a perfect moment.
A friend of mine is an Islanders fan, and he sent me this tweet. It said, Alexander Ovechkin has accomplished a feat that was once considered impossible, getting the entire world to watch a New York Islanders game.
I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet. Well, I was even thinking too, like, is this the most watched nationally televised Islanders game in like decades? Because obviously the Islanders had that dynasty in the early 80s, but that was almost 50 years ago now.
Yeah, it was a cool thing to see, and it was nice that it happened like early in the day, so everybody could be a part of that and sing the praises and talk about just when I was a kid, I thought that was a I guess Gretzky was still playing, but when when Gretzky ended his career and hung it up, you're like, man, that is a record that's never going to be touched. And I still think that with the points,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's so unreal how far ahead of everybody else he is in points. But the goals, I didn't think anybody would beat that. And just to watch Ovechkin do it. And a couple of years ago, you're like, I don't know, he's slowing down. He's getting a little older. He might have to play like a long time, playing those old man minutes, uh, to eke this out. And then, he had a resurgence and came back and just has the last couple of years has been just absolutely a scoring machine. And it was awesome to watch. It really was. And I'm so glad it happened this year because um I want him when he makes a decision what he wants to do if coming back is nothing to do with this record. It's do I want to play?
Right. I mean, he's now checked all the boxes because he's won a Stanley Cup. He's broken the all-time goal scoring record. There's really not much more you can do other than win another Stanley Cup. Now, the Capitals have a great chance to win the Stanley Cup this year. I think they were the first team in the NHL to clinch. So that's a really good team right there. And if they win the Stanley Cup and Alex Ovechkin gets his second, you almost got to think like, how could you go off better than that? How could that sunset that you write off in be brighter than breaking the all-time scoring goals record and then winning a Stanley Cup? Like, you can't get any better than that.
I think it would be hilarious if like he retired from the NHL and went and played in the KHL next year at 40 whatever years old and was just dominating everybody and scoring like 100 goals.
I mean, he honestly could do that if he wants to. I mean, Yami or Yager, didn't he go to the, I don't know if it was it the KHL? I know he was playing overseas after he played in the NHL, but that guy was playing in the league forever. And it's funny too, because when you look at Alex Ovechkin's numbers over the past few years, you're like, man, those are really comparable to what they were when he was in his early mid 20s. Like, that's how much of a resurgence he's had. And he's never dipped to the point where he's like, oh, he's not good. But it's like, okay, 50 goal seasons are turning into 30 goal seasons. Like, it's still really good, but it's not quite in prime. And now you're back to that in prime level that he had. It's like fine wine. He just doesn't age.
No, he's really just turned it around again. Like you said, they weren't bad, but those numbers dipped to where you're like, okay, he's not looking like a guy that's
You're
going
over the
to,
hill. Yeah.
yeah, you're not, like I said, is if you're going to break this record, it's going to be you just playing until you're really old and it stops being a how good you are, but how much longevity you have. But he flipped that back around and no, it's back to how good he is because he broke that record and and the he has right now he has the exact same number of games that Gretzky played and he scored more goals.
Isn't that crazy? Like the timing?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It really is something. Like that's what makes sports so romantic. Now, what's really funny too, for me at least, is Alex Ovechkin was scoring 50 goals in the NHL when I was in middle school. I'm 30 now. I'm going to be 31 in less than a month. And I was in middle school when he was already scoring 50 goals a game. I have one of my favorite Nintendo Wii games of all time is NHL 2K10. And Alex Ovechkin is on the cover of that. And that game is fun because it's the 2010 season, so you play with the Blackhawks team that eventually won the Stanley Cup. But Alex Ovechkin is on the cover of that game. And I remember getting it when I was a sophomore in high school. And Alex Ovechkin was well established as the best goal scorer in the game and the best player in the game right there next to Sidney Crosby. And both him and Crosby are still playing right now. I mean, the Penguins are at the United Center right now playing the Blackhawks as we speak. I laugh because you realize how many games and how much high pressure that these guys have played through over 2 decades. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's a cool record, and I'm really happy for him. Um, and it would be awesome. I don't know how many games they have left, but it would be awesome if he could get to 900 goals by the end of the season.
That would be crazy.
Um, let's see. Capitals schedule.
That might be
Um,
kind of hard.
the, one, two. Looks like they have 5 games left. He needs 5 goals.
Well, maybe not then. 5 games. For some reason I was thinking like they had like 3 or 4, but that's
And
very possible.
they're locked in. I mean, he is just going to be firing away. And his teammates were like, "Yeah, when it's so exciting, we just want to feed him the puck." Like that dude. And the last game is against the Penguins.
Hmm.
Um, so it's
Imagine scoring your 900th goal against your biggest rival.
right.
Yeah, you are right. That is very possible that he might be able to reach that feat. I mean, all he needs is a hat trick in one game, and then it's like, boom, you're down to two.
I mean, it's probably unlikely, but I
It's
mean,
possible.
it's definitely possible for the greatest goal scorer of all time. Five
And
goals
like
in
you
5 games.
said, yeah, and like you said, they're so locked in. Like, aren't they the number one seed by a decent margin?
They have 107 points.
Who is the next team?
The Toronto Maple Leafs. They have 98.
Okay, so you have a pretty steady lead here.
Yeah, there's pretty much no way that they could catch you.
Right,
Um, I mean, let's see. They've got 6 games left, 12. They would pretty much have to win out and you'd have to lose out to
right.
surpass you. And so, I mean, really this if he wants that 900 mark, just fire away.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
We'll see.
yeah, in the Western Conference, there's a bunch of good teams. The Jets, the Stars, Golden Knights all have triple digit points.
Can the Blues stop winning?
I hate the Blues. Hate
They've
the
won like
Blues.
what, 12, 13 in a row, whatever it is.
12.
Ugh. Ugh. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the West, obviously, and I feel like that's anybody's Clarence Campbell Bowl to win.
Except the Blackhawks.
Well, I mean, teams that are in the like teams that are up there.
Yeah, no, there's really, I mean, the Kings are really good. Golden Knights are really good. Avalanche are good.
Yeah,
Stars are good. The Jets are good.
I kind of want the Jets to go far because I really like Connor Hellebuck. He's probably the
Uh,
best goalie in the NHL right now.
I have no idea who I'm rooting for. Um, I don't know. I secretly, not secretly, but like when I was a kid, um, somebody gave me uh, a Calgary Flames duffel bag, and they've always been like my other team. One of those dumb things. Um, and the day my daughter was born, the Blackhawks played Calgary.
I
So
don't know why. I'm just picturing you have this double life as this diehard Calgary Flames fan. Like behind your Greedo freaking shelf, like there's this secret door and there's just this giant shrine room just all dedicated to the Calgary Flames.
I have a Garrido toy and I pull it like a handle and it opens up and it swings open like the Bat Cave.
Calgary Flames. Then you go in and there's Greedo with a freaking Lanny McDonald mustache and Flames jersey on. Just
Oh my god.
secret. So let it be known here, folks. Sean Hotman, after all these years, is actually a diehard Flames fan.
Uh, yeah, I don't know why. I've always liked them. Um,
I will say, I think their logo is really cool. Just that C with like the flame, like design on the back, and I can fuck with the Calgary Flames. I have nothing against them.
yeah, and it's funny. I have a friend that lives in Calgary, and when I met him, I was like, "Oh, are you a Flames fan?" No, I'm an Oilers fan. I just live in Calgary.
Nah. Well, that is a
Uh,
good rivalry, Flames and Oilers.
um, I'm looking at. Da, da, da. I don't think Calgary is going to make the playoffs. They're got 85 points. They're just out of that.
I'm so sorry to hear for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking here at the current playoff bracket. So in the Western Conference, it would be the Jets versus the Wild, Dallas versus the Avalanche,
That'd be a good series.
the Blues versus the Golden Knights, and the Kings versus the Oilers.
That'd be another good series.
They're all good series.
Yeah.
I got maybe the Jets and the Wild, maybe not.
Yeah.
Um, but all the other ones were good.
If I were to get a dream scenario for the Stanley Cup final, I would say give me the Jets and the Capitals. I would love to see the top scorers on the Capitals face off against one of the best goaltenders. I think that would be fun to watch.
That I would not argue with that. I would not argue with that. Um, and then in the Eastern, you're looking at Toronto versus the Senators, the Lightning versus the Panthers. That should be fun.
Oh, the Battle of Florida.
Florida, um, the Capitals versus the Canadians, and the Hurricanes versus the Devils.
Ooh, Caps Canadians rematch at 2010. I don't know if you remember that first round series.
I do.
Yaroslav Halak going crazy in the final two games and the Capitals blowing a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I guess in the Eastern Conference, I'll root for the Ovechkins, and then in the West, hmm,
Go Jets, go, baby.
just I don't like the. I'm gonna go with the Oilers. I guess I want Canada to finally win one.
I know people who listen to the show who hate hearing you say that.
They don't want Canada to ever win a Stanley Cup.
No, they don't. I mean, you already dug yourself a hole by admitting you're this diehard Calgary Flames fan.
I'm not a diehard. I was just a little kid that had a stupid duffel bag. It was like one of those like cheapy duffel bags. And I was like,
Yeah, cool. And then you have this shrine behind your Greedo shrine to the Calgary Flames.
uh, yeah. So go Canada.
Oh man, you are walking a tight rope.
Here's the problem is like I I am a world champion hater. So it makes it really hard when my team is not in it because then I'm like I gotta guess root for somebody. And then I end up just rooting against people. So I don't really have any beefs with Canada. So yeah, I'm gonna root for a Canadian team to win. I can't root for the Kings because obvious. Can't root for the Blues because obvious. And I don't root for any warm weather city ever. Just can't in hockey. Um,
Well, then you must have hated hockey the past few years, considering we've seen a Lightning dynasty, we've seen a Panthers Stanley Cup, we've seen the Dallas Stars go to the Stanley Cup final.
oh yeah, I hate it. Hate it. It's like watching the Eagles win a Super Bowl. Like I hate it. I just got to deal. You know. Like I
Hey,
can't.
your Calgary Flames used to be in Atlanta.
Uh, like Toronto, it just makes me laugh because they're just gonna blow it. That's what they do.
Yeah, until they prove otherwise. I mean, how many over the past few years they've had so many good teams. The Maple Leafs have, and they can't get over that hump in the playoffs.
Nope, they can't. And it's gonna happen again this year.
It's going to happen every year until they prove otherwise.
So yeah, I'm gonna root for the Oilers versus the Capitals. That's gonna be what I hope for.
Fair enough. In other hockey news, local hockey news, the Blackhawks are up 3-1 with about a minute left. So unless something crazy happens, looks like they are going to pick up a win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Frank Nazar with another goal. He's
Yeah,
he's looking good.
literally that was my next point that I wanted to bring up. And I didn't see the score, because I'm in a room that doesn't have an antenna TV. Um,
You're in your Calgary Flames man cave.
uh, but I wanted to talk about Frank Nazar because he's really good. Um, I'd read an awful lot going into the season, like what's he gonna be? What's it? And there was some people that were down on him, and I don't see it because he's looking good.
Yeah, no, I know people were skeptical about the size, but you're seeing good things. And even when he's not scoring, you've seen him generate a couple of breakaways that are really, really impressive. And he's up to 9 goals now. So you got to like the production you're getting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you love it. Um, and so it's been fun to watch him progress. And um, you know, I would absolutely love it if the Blackhawks just had so many young players that were just studs because that would just it would make it worthwhile these last however many years that they've just sucked.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, is that we're really seeing full on youth movement here. You know, seeing Oliver Moore come up. He got his first point the other night in Washington. So, at least over these last few games, the future really is the focus here.
Um, did you see the Blackhawks signed another draft pick to a entry level deal?
I did.
The Harding kid, the defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Blackhawks front office has a type because this defenseman is 6'7", 235 pounds. Just look at all of their young defensemen. They are all like I'm a little over 6 feet tall. And they all tower over me. And so I love it. It's speedy forwards and giant defensemen.
Yeah, like you said, they have a type. And it's funny because they're big even without skates. Put them on skates, and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, and it's 6'7" on skates is just like that's like Shaquille O'Neal height.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal on skates. That's literally what Kyle Davidson has on his board. All right, guys, we need to get a bunch of Shaquille O'Neals on skates.
He's just got a life-size cardboard cutout of Shaq, and he's like, must be this tall to be a Blackhawks defenseman.
It's from the cardboard cutouts from that movie he did in the 90s.
Uh, Shazam or
Yeah,
Kazam.
Kazam, Shazam, whatever it is.
Uh, when I was a kid, I had a Shaq life-size cardboard cutout in my room, and my dad came downstairs and just saw the shadow from like a light coming in, like from the street light, in through the window and just saw like the thing and freaked out and thought there was like somebody in the house.
Thought there was somebody in the house. You thought there was a really big dude in the house.
It's one of those ones you're like, oh shit.
Oh no. Please, just take everything and go. Oh wait, that's just cardboard shack.
Uh, so this time last week, we were very unhappy with our Chicago Cubs, to
Yes,
say
we
the
were.
least. And are you feeling any better?
Well, listen, I'll say this. This was a really good week for the Cubs in many ways. I mean, the offense was absolutely relentless throughout this entire week. The approach is so professional, the grinding long at bats. They've drawn more walks than any other team in baseball. Kyle Tucker is a monster. He is an absolute stud. He is as good of a Cub as we've had since like the in prime core. And I'll say this too. I was very skeptical about guys like Matthew Boyd, and he's pitched really, really well so far. I got to give him that. And you just won two or three against the Padres, who are a very, very, very good team. And
They were undefeated before they played you.
yes, they were undefeated, and Wrigley was absolute a buzz Friday. I wasn't there, but like I saw the end of it on TV after work, and you could just tell how cool the atmosphere was there, both literally and figuratively. It was cold, but it was cool to see how hyped up everybody was. And I think that there was a lot of good feelings going into that series, even though you were just playing the A's. But not only did you stomp the A's with 35 runs and seeing 600 pitches and 20 walks and 41 hits, but you saw Carson Kelly hit a cycle. You saw Kyle Tucker just explode. You saw Seiya Suzuki explode in that series. You did what you should do to a bad team.
I told you those that was going to be a get right series.
You were right. You were right. I was admittedly a tad worried because I thought the A's have some dudes, and they do, but they're still not good. And the Cubs absolutely grinded them into dust. But I think one thing is for sure. If we're going to go with the one negative thing here, this
Justin
bullpen is
Steele,
still
the
a
bullpen's
problem.
terrible, and Justin Steele is not pitching well.
Yeah, and I think he'll be okay. Because at least even though he's not pitching well, he does find a way to ride it out. Like, the other night, it looked like he was going to be done very early and it was going to be bad, but he ended up going, what, 6 innings, and he was an earned run shy of a quality start. Um, it sucks to say, but that bullpen, man, is just not good.
No, it's not, and we saw it again today. It should have been a sweep of the Padres, and you blow the lead in the eighth, and then you lose it in the ninth.
Today's game was a weird one. I will admit that this was a very strange game, and the Cubs got some breaks early today. You had two balk calls. The Padres were giving you some free runners with walks early, but I do feel like the Padres pretty much controlled the game from the third on out. And I guess to be fair, too, 5 of the 8 runs were off Ben Brown. So, it wasn't it wasn't the absolute pathetic meltdown you had last Sunday, but it still sucks when you have the lead in the eighth inning and you're a few outs away from a sweep and the bullpen can't get it done. But you know, in a vacuum, today's game wouldn't have bothered me as much, and I don't even blame Presley that much today. The leadoff walks for everybody in this bullpen are inexcusable. That has got to stop. But boy, if Justin Turner comes up with that double play ball, then, you go tied and, you're thinking, okay, you have a chance now. You're tied, so on, whatever. But on opening day, Presley almost blew it, and Presley has not looked sharp at all, and that is a big concern.
Yeah, and my problem with Presley was like bringing him in. I'm perfectly fine, but they just when they got him, they essentially anointed him. Like there was no closer competition, or like if if Presley goes into spring training and is lights out, wins the job, and you're like, okay, I'm fine with it. Even if he blows some games, you're like, okay, well, you know what? He pitched really well to earn this. It just nothing feels like it was earned. It was
Well,
just
they did. He did have to agree to. They had to agree to him being the closer to waive that no trade clause.
yeah, but you know what? If you pitch terribly and you have somebody else that's pitching well, you know, like what is he going to do? Unwaive it?
I mean, I don't disagree, but I'm also going to make this point too. If not him, who do you trust?
That's the thing is you didn't bring anybody in to, you should like there should be more than one high leverage guy.
Absolutely.
Like you've got to have multiple high leverage guys, even if one is your like quote unquote closer. You've got to have multiple high leverage guys to that you feel confident with. By the first like month of the season, your manager should have his core guys that he trusts, like who he trusts in certain situations, and who are those guys right now?
I mean, Houch has been okay overall. You see the stuff, but he still has some command issues. So I think that would be your next choice. That or Julian Merriweather. I mean, Julian Merriweather, I would probably go to first. But what's nice about Merriweather is he's kind of that guy that you go to if you need to put out a fire in like the sixth inning. So you kind of need that guy too. I think the only other option right now that I feel with one guy I have been somewhat impressed with is Brad Keller. It's a small sample size, but he threw gas today.
Yeah. So I mean, the Cubs are going to have to figure out who their core group of guys that they trust are, and somebody's going to have to step up and make this be, you know, or step up into that role where they're like, hey, listen, I'm the guy that stops this. If you have, you can trust me to, if there's a pinch, there's two runners on, and it's not a clean inning to come in to, to get these two outs and not give up a run. Like somebody's got to step up and be that guy. And nobody's perfect, but you should feel pretty confident in like a handful of guys in that bullpen. And if this team is going to be truly competitive, they may win the division, but to actually be competitive in the National League, you need like a couple of guys to just really step the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, we could have only three losses. And again, in a vacuum, I can excuse today a little easier considering how weird of a game it was. Last Sunday's game was pathetic. That was inexcusable. But, my whole point here is this isn't just one or two isolated times where the bullpen didn't get it done. I mean, we've had to sweat out the bullpen throughout most of the year. I mean, you almost blew it on Friday. You almost blew it last Saturday against the Diamondbacks. And luckily, you didn't really need the pen to be crazy good in Oakland or Sacramento, I should say. I'll never get used to that. But you blew out in two or three of those games. And I guess to be fair, the middle game was a bit closer and the bullpen did right there. So fine, whatever. But right now, I don't think many Cubs fans can sit here watching a game and say it's 6-3 in the eighth inning and you're playing LA or you're playing the Mets. I don't think anyone is sitting there cool and calm. Like we're on the edge of our seat, like, biting our fingernails.
Yeah, and um, you know, with those blowout wins, those are nice because your pitchers can go in there and they don't have to overexert themselves. They
Hmm.
just go out there, get the outs. Don't fret on runners. Don't it's not any sort of high leverage at all. But it's was nice to see that first game Ben Brown pitch with a lead, and he just put it in cruise control. Um, it's sometimes a pitcher has a hard time pitching with a lead, and uh, it's you're like, oh, okay, we got the lead, we've got to. Granted that was a pretty big lead, but they gave him a lead early, and then he just went out there and put it in cruise control.
Yeah, and I mean, the nice thing too about that series against the A's was the Cubs jumped out first every single game by like 3 or 4 runs. I believe it was 4-3-4. Cubs scored four in the first game, three in the second game, and then like four in the second or third inning, the finale. And every time the A's scored a few runs and closed the gap, the Cubs immediately came back and widened that gap again, like virtually every single time. And they widened the gap to the point where you didn't even have to worry about it.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely. I mean, um, and the Seiya had in two of those games had 3 run home runs to help that lead. And was the first one was that Bush and Swanson homered in the first.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was nice to start, and you just saw the relentless bats, and they continued against San Diego. San Diego's a really, really good team. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Going into the season, I was like, oh, I wonder how San Diego will look, and yeah, San Diego is playing really well, and the Cubs just got a brutal schedule to start, and
Yeah, it's not going to let up. Now you have to play the Rangers, who look like themselves again. You got to play the Dodgers again.
then the
It's,
Padres again.
yeah. And then the Diamondbacks again.
Yeah, so this first like part of the season is brutal, and you know it's going to be telling how they respond to this, because if they can come out of this brutal start to the season, you know, either first or second in the division, you feel good about their chances, because at some point you're going to have to start playing Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and um some other scrub teams, and then you're going to get these easy series. And I agree with you. I
Now,
don't
oh, sorry, go ahead.
and I agree with you. I like Oakland should be better than they are, but um, the Cubs made easy work of that. They shouldn't have been that easy by any stretch. Um,
I didn't think it was going to be that easy.
I don't think it shouldn't. I mean, no team should win a series like that unless they're using torpedo bats. Pew! Um, and can we talk about that Ian Happ catch?
Oh, that was awesome.
I mean, the amount of ground that he covered was incredible. And you know what's more wild than that? There was another play a game or two before that, that PCA made, and if you look at the way he made the catch, you're like, that's a routine catch. But if you look at like those advanced statistics, when the ball was hit, there was like a 30% chance of a catch. And he just had such an incredible jump from when the bat hit the ball that he made it look like a routine play.
Was that the one, the opening day one at Wrigley when he caught it like right against the wall?
Um, I think it was that game, and it not all the way to the wall, but it was like left center, and it was gonna be a gapper, and he just ran it down, and it just like a routine play. And when you looked at the stats, you were like the advanced stuff, you're like, that's a 30% probability when the bat hits the ball. And he just had such an incredible jump that it went from like 30 to like 90% off that jump.
Yeah, yeah. It was caught like in right in front of the track. His momentum took him to the wall. And I
Yeah.
do think that what makes that impressive is when you go that hard to make a catch at Wrigley Field, you got a brick wall that's going to meet you.
Do you remember Kevin Mitchell that used to play for San Francisco? Um,
Yes.
and so Kevin hated that team, hated Will Clark, but Kevin Mitchell, uh, he was he was a terrible outfielder, but he could clobber a baseball. And this was back before the DH in the National League, so he had to play outfield. And I can't remember who it was. It's like Willie Mays or somebody like a Hall of Famer was was helping him be a better fielder. And so they were at like a practice facility and he goes to make this catch and he like soft ran into the wall to make the catch. And and he goes, that was a nice catch. And but he's like, he's like, that was weak chain link. And he's like, try doing that at Wrigley. You're gonna run into bricks.
Yeah, he's right.
He's totally right. It's a solid ass wall with no give. That it may like right now it's different, but when in the middle of the summer you see the ivy growing nice and lush, and you're like, okay, that's soft. No,
No.
ivy is zero cushion. Ivy is fake cushion because it just masks what's behind there, and it is solid. It is absolutely solid, and you are going to give yourself a concussion.
Yeah, and think about Ian Happ's catch too. He was diving towards the line, and that was in the corner. The grandstands go right up to the foul line, so he didn't have much room before the wall was going to meet him.
Yeah, so it was a nice catch, nice play, and I love seeing it. I'm a sucker for awesome fielding plays.
Hell yeah, web gems are great.
Like
And
that.
we've seen plenty of them from this Cubs team so far.
I mean, the Cubs have some really slick fielders.
Yep, both on the infield and the outfield. I mean, this whole series, we've seen them make some extraordinary plays. Obviously, you had the one tough one by Turner today, but even Turner earlier in the game, he had that great throw home to get the runner at third. And then, you see Dansby Swanson make all these plays and Nico Horner make these plays in the middle of the infield. And Shaw's done a good job picking. I mean, remember in that Friday game, in that, heart racer of a save from Ryan Presley, the key to that inning was Pete Crow Armstrong keeping that ball in front of him, that line drive single. And then you had Matt Shaw going to his left, making the play on the infield chopper and getting the second out. Like those were two game changing plays.
So, what are your thoughts on Matt Shaw? His first, you know, 10 games of the season, or his career?
Well, I still think the swing is very odd, but I do think you look at Matt Shaw and you see a lot of the typical growing pains of a young rookie. I think that you've seen enough instances of him hitting the ball hard and not getting the results where you can say, okay, if you could just keep up swings like that, they'll start falling. But there's definitely a lot of growing pains to hammer out, and that process might take a little time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the, you look at the numbers, just from the stats, and you're like, all right, that batting average is terrible. Um, but uh, but for a guy that has a terrible on or a batting average, that on base percentage is not bad. He's getting on base,
He is. He is.
and you know, and he's a decent base runner. Um,
Deceptive speed.
yeah, and so you feel you feel okay. Like, all right, he's gonna get there. Like, I guess going into this offseason, you're like, if you could give me a solid fielder, a good base runner, and get on base, I can live with that. You'd like to see, him like clobbering more home runs, but that'll come. I mean, for a guy batting 190, his 600 plus OPS is not the it's not good, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, considering where the average is, and also consider too that to your point, he's not chasing a ton of bad balls. A lot of the issues that he's having are with balls in the zone, and that's just a matter of adjusting to major league pitching.
Yeah. I mean, if he's getting out, I mean, we remember when Javi Baez came up the first time
Mm.
and he had like what a 45% strikeout rate or something
Yeah, the
ridiculous.
strikeout rate, he hit like one something. The strikeout rate was in the 40s. You saw the big leg kick, and then he made adjustments, and Matt Shaw's going to make adjustments.
Yeah, and Javi went down and then came back up.
Right.
Those swings at awful pitches never went away. And he just made better contact with anything in the zone. Um, Matt Shaw has a good eye, and if you get out on stuff in the zone for a guy that is as polished as he is, he'll figure those out. You
Right.
know, I'm not worried. So I was pretty worried, not over him, for a long term, but the fact that they were going to rely on a rookie to to be the third baseman every day.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I was very worried. And, there's definitely growing pains that we're seeing, but the they're not as pronounced and not as dire as they could be.
Yeah. Speaking of growing pains, I think you and I can both admit that offensively, PCA is struggling a bit.
Yes, absolutely.
It looked good early on. Like, even when he wasn't like getting hits, he was making good contact early in the season, but these past few games, this past week, we've seen some rough ABs.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's giving you just stellar defense, but at the plate is no bueno. I
Yeah.
so I what
Everything else is great. The defense, the base running, when he does get on base, it's all fantastic, but you just want more consistent hitting.
yeah, that's you need more consistency. And um, I wonder if putting him higher in the order will help. But hopefully as the bat or the temperatures warm, his bat warms.
Yeah, for sure. And this is why, too, we're not seeing the Cubs bat him leadoff. Ian Happ is where you want him hitting right now at leadoff because he draws walks, he has long ABs, he takes his bases. So I think it's good that they didn't put him in that spot right away.
You know, is Ian Happ like a great baseball player? He's a good baseball player, but he's
Hmm.
really consistent. You know what you're going to get from Ian Happ at this point in his career. Um, so I agree with you. Like PCA is your long term, probably your long term answer at leadoff, but right here, right now, that's not the right place for him. Um, and baseball's a funny thing. It's in you look at some sports and you're like, oh, one dude can make a difference, and you're like, baseball though, it's no baseball. Like one person being hot can change everything, and you've got Kelly, Suzuki, and Tucker just playing lights out, and it's carrying the Cubs, into uh first place in the division.
Right.
I mean, Nico is like he's getting on base, but there's no power there. It is no power at all right now.
No, but as long as he's hitting to all sides of the field, that's what you look for from him.
Yeah, Shaw is struggling a bit. PCA is really struggling. Dansby's hitting fine. Um, Bush has not shown a lot of. I mean, he's got a couple home runs, but that OPS right now is what, like 700. It's not where you want it to be.
Yeah, not great, not terrible.
Um, but you know, you've got a couple of guys that are just. Uh, I mean, Tucker, what has he got, like a almost 1300 OPS right now? Is he's out of his mind.
I think he's already over a one WAR.
And so you look at that and you're like, okay, that is you know, uh just that's how you win baseballs is that's why you pay superstars.
Take
They're
notes, Tom
difference
and
makers.
Jed.
Yeah. And it boggles my mind is the Cubs make so much money, invest it into your players, pay people. The fact, like, Kyle Tucker walking after this season is going to hurt so much more knowing that the Cubs just make so much money.
Gotta break even though.
They don't break even. They make profit. Like they're one of the highest revenue teams in baseball.
Break even. That's what Tom says. I roll.
I want to punch him in his face.
I feel like he's Tom Ricketts is actually one of those Boppo people where like you punch and like they go back and it'll just swing right back and knock you down.
He just, yeah, it's like he's a Weeble. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. He just goes all the way back and then comes right back up. You punch him again. And he's just like, hee.
Just picturing Tom Ricketts with that same laugh. As he comes back up, ricochets and knocks you down.
Uh, and you hear it like with a Doppler effect as it goes down. It's like,
You're at a game. He's walking on the concourse. You walk up to him and you do that.
he just sounds like the Pillsbury Doughboy when you poke him in the belly and when you punch Tom in the face. Uh, oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So on the other side of town, I think at this point we're starting to conclude that um, the Angels are just really bad
Yeah.
because the White
Yeah.
Sox have really struggled since that series.
That they have. I think the big talking point when it comes to the Major League Sox team is Luis Robert is not off to a very good start after a really good spring training.
He is brutal right now.
Did this whole thing just kill his vibe and ability? I mean, it's been rough the past year plus now. I mean, he looked like the all-star that we'd wanted to see in 2023 when he was healthier and, slugging home runs and making great catches in center field. I mean, this was a guy who had the talent to be a top five player in baseball. And you saw glimpses of it early in his career. He had some injuries. He's looked great in 2023. And then the past year, it's been brutal. But you watch it sometimes and you're like, is he checked out? Is he half-assing it? Because sometimes it seems like he just wants to get out. I mean, would you be surprised if Luis Robert went somewhere and he just played like that all-star MVP type player?
I mean, I want to see it. It would be nice for the White Sox to be able to get something in return, but I would like to see Luis Robert be that dominant guy. Do you want to play guess what his slash line is right now?
Sure, why don't we?
All right. What do you think his batting average is?
160.
Very close. 161.
All right.
What is his OBP?
233.
250.
Okay.
What is his slugging?
301.
194.
Oh, what was I thinking?
His OPS is 444.
Oh, does he even have a home run yet?
I don't know. Um,
Or is he hit literally all singles? Like, if that is your slugging, then literally all your hits have to be singles.
like it is brutal, like what he's batting right now.
I thought he'd at least have a couple of doubles and a bomb. I wasn't sure if he had one or none, but I thought he'd have a few doubles by now. Okay, I gotta look at this. Hold on. Oh, I'm gonna go on Fangraphs. Because if his slugging is that low, like, okay, here we go. Let's see. Luis Robert Jr. Yeah, he's got one double. 5 hits total. I thought he would have like 2 or 3 of those hits be doubles. Wow.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Did you see his WRC plus?
No.
Take a guess.
Oh God. Do I even want to guess?
Try it.
Um, uh, I'm gonna go. Um,
Do, 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 do.
80.
You're not even close.
What is it?
30.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oy. Um, Speaking of which, you were talking about the Angels who they faced, right?
Yes.
You know who's on the Angels, right? You know what 2 guys are on the Angels, right?
Tim Anderson.
And
What's his name? Third baseman.
what's his name? You don't even remember his name now. Yoan Moncada.
He's not in Chicago anymore. Uh, yes. Are they already batting better than Luis Robert?
Yes, they are. Yoan Moncada's average isn't anything to write home about. It's 200, but a 385 OBP. His walk rate is 23%. No home runs. 4 RBIs. 3 runs scored. WRC plus a 107. He can walk. Like, Yoan Moncada can walk. I'll give him that.
How's Jorge Soler looking?
Jorge Soler. Okay, let's look at Soler first. And
I'm gonna
then I got Tim Anderson.
I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Um, without seeing a single at bat or stat for him this year, I'm gonna guess Soler is about a 290 on base and a 750 OPS.
Wow, 289 OBP. Solid guess. What did you say, OPS?
750.
Let's see. So the OPS isn't updated yet, but based on what he did previously, the OPS is 639. But he did hit a home run today, so that'll go up a little bit. The numbers we do have available updated via live stats: 219, 289, 438, 97 WRC plus. So mediocre.
Right where I expected him to be.
Now, would you like to hear Tim Anderson?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna guess that they're better than Luis Robert right now, but not by much. I'm gonna guess.
Well,
I'm gonna guess. Uh, 205 batting average.
200.
Um, his on base percentage, I'm going to say, you said it's 200 is his batting average.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go, it's identical, 200.
You're right.
And then slugging, 240.
250. Good job. Now, do you want to hear his WRC plus?
Ooh. Yes.
Do you want to take a guess?
I don't. I'm terrible at guessing at WRC plus.
19. Yeah.
Uh,
This guy was
wow.
once the face of the Chicago White Sox.
He really got his ability to play baseball punched out of him.
Literally and figuratively. I mean, he won what, two batting titles?
Yeah.
Two batting titles. He won two batting titles. In 2021, he had a 118 WRC plus and an average of 309. In 2020, the shortened season, 140 WRC plus, 322. In 2019, 335 average with a 128 WRC plus. In 2022, 301 average, 110 WRC plus. That's when you're like, oh, he can't hit extra base hits, but he can still hit. And then boom, 2023, 245 average with a 60 WRC plus. Last year in Miami, 214 WRC plus, 214 average, 27 WRC plus. It has gotten brutal. Now,
So
I
I just want to pause really quickly because I know there's people that listen that have no idea what WRC plus is. So that's the weighted runs created plus. It's a baseball stat that measures a player's offensive value adjusted for ballpark and uh, era effects with 100 representing league average. So 100 is league average. And so 19 and whatever, Luis Robert and Tim Anderson are is brutal.
it's unimaginably terrible.
Yeah. Um, so it's useful because when there's players that play in Colorado or left-handed power guys that play in Yankee Stadium that have like, a distinct advantage based on where they play. So what this stat does is kind of accounts for those factors that inflate or deflate a player's, you know, statistics and tries to normalize it.
It's one of my favorite stats because it uses all those factors. It tries to measure based on the conditions you play in and the league you play in, and it's very easy to understand. Like 100 is average. Anything above is above, anything below is below. With the understanding where you say, okay, a 98 WRC plus is still like an average production, like as would a 101 WRC plus be. But overall, the understanding is pretty basic once you understand what it actually is. It's easy to read. Now, I feel like we're just picking on ex White Sox, so to make this fair, I'm going to give you this slash line. 174, 240, 217, a WRC plus of 20. Do you know who that is?
Chris Bryant.
Yeah. You want to talk about cooked?
That shoulder never healed right.
No,
He
no.
was never the same dude.
And all the other injuries on top of it.
But
Now,
that was the one that just started it all. And wasn't it from a slide into third?
yeah, I mean, there's been a number of incidents. I think one of them was I remember the shoulder issues really started flaring up in 2018. He lost a lot of those games. Well, I should say he lost the playing time because he was hurt. And he lost a lot of that power that season when he did play. So that's when David Bodie came in and saved the day for a little bit. But he got it back in 2019 with 31 bombs, but ever since then, he just has not been that power hitter. And since joining the Rockies, he hasn't been much of a hitter, period.
What did you say Tim Anderson's WRC plus was last year?
With Miami,
Yeah.
that was, Hold on, let me go
Did you say
back.
19?
That sounds right. Let's see. Here it is. 27.
27. To put that
27.
into perspective, Shohei Ohtani's last year was 181.
Yeah. And wasn't Aaron Judge over 200?
That sounds about right. Um, let's see. Aaron Judge.
I mean, Aaron Judge really is like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are defining this generation of baseball. And at one point, that was Mike Trout too, before all the injuries.
So last year, Aaron Judge was 218.
Like that's all time great. That's Babe Ruth was doing that. Barry Bonds was doing that.
Um,
I'm sure Ted Williams was too.
let's see.
Ted Williams WRC plus. Okay, I got him up on Fangraphs. By the way, if you're a baseball fan and you love stats and you don't go to Fangraphs, go to Fangraphs.
Aaron Judge, um, that was one of the best all-time WRC pluses.
Yeah, I mean here's Ted Williams, career 187 WRC plus. He had a WRC plus of 200 or more. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 times.
For a complete season, the best all-time was Barry Bonds at 244,
Yeah, let me guess. 2004,
2002.
2002. Okay.
Yeah. Babe Ruth was second, 237 in 1920. Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth. Barry Bonds and Babe Ruth just own the top of that list.
Yeah.
Like, um, yeah. So hold on. So this, what I'm looking at is skewed by early 2025 season. Um, but let's see, completed seasons. The best ones are Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Rogers Hornsby, Aaron Judge last year, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, um, somebody Dunlop in 1884, Ted Williams, Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Babe
Jaw
Ruth.
spitting Dunlop.
Fred Dunlop. I don't even know who that is.
Probably had an epic mustache.
He played 12 seasons, including for the Blues and the Alleghenies.
So outside that, just put this in perspective that the offensive production of Aaron Judge last year was in the same conversation of literally just Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Barry Bonds
And Mickey Mantle
and Mickey Mantle.
in his like ultimate season of his entire career. So yeah, it was an all-time great season last year. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, when you say we're watching history, when you watch Aaron Judge, you really are.
I mean, it was Babe Ruth and then roided up Barry Bonds. And then
One
you're
was
just
filled
like,
with roids, one was filled with hog anuses because of all the hot dogs.
just, I heard somebody once make that argument. It's like, well, Babe Ruth was, oh, fine. Barry Bonds was using roids, but Babe Ruth had performance enhancers too. What performance enhancers? Hot dogs. Like,
Hot dogs and beer.
like that is not a performance enhancer. That is like constipation central.
Yeah, and cholesterol central.
But yeah, Aaron Judge was just like last season was one of the best seasons a baseball hitter has had ever.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
I mean, like the polar opposite of what uh you know Aaron Judge is doing, and like based on his pace, he like if he plays like this all season, his WRC plus will be 250 this season.
Yeah.
And keep it in perspective, Kyle Tucker's 226.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker is off to, they said he's off to like the best start as a Cub since Rogers Hornsby in 1929.
Um, and then this guy Abreu on Boston is on pace for a 335 WRC plus. I feel like that is not sustainable.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Uh, you want to hear a funny baseball stat?
Sure.
In 1995, Tony Gwynn had 15 strikeouts in 585 at bats. In 2025, Rafael Devers had 15 strikeouts in his first 19 at bats.
I saw that stat. Isn't that wild?
Tony Gwynn was so good.
Tony Gwynn was a freak. I mean, he made hitting an art form, like pure art form.
He was the batting equivalent of um uh oh my god, having an old man moment. Greg Maddux.
Yeah, you're right.
You're like, all right, does he look like he's should be the best at what he does? Does he have these like attributes that are off the charts? No, like Tony Gwynn at one point looked like a chubby little monster.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh yeah, this guy is the best at your sport. Yeah, yeah, he is. And Greg Maddux, like nothing popped out. You're like, oh yeah, like does he throw the fastest? Does he have? No, he's just really accurate where he throws it.
Greg
And
Maddux looked like a 40-year-old Midwestern dad, and yet somehow he was insanely athletic.
yeah, so it's Tony Gwynn was ridiculous. Just him, like I mean, Ted Williams level eye and control of the bat.
Truly remarkable stuff. Like you look at his career numbers, and it's if you're a baseball junkie and you already know, you know Tony Gwynn, you know what he did, you know the basic numbers, but when you just keep looking into it, and even if you've seen it before and you look at it again and again and again, it still amazes you.
Absolutely. Um, but going back to the White Sox, they're terrible. They're on pace right now for 116 losses.
It's an improvement.
That's sad. Couple bright spots though. Shane Smith, Martin Perez have been bright spots.
Yeah, I mean, the pitching is where the bright spots are right now. That's where you look at certain guys on the major league team, and then obviously your top prospects like Noah Schultz down in the minors, and you see them do good things. And I mean, you're not going to get much out of this lineup at the major league level, but at least you have some of these arms to watch.
Yeah, but I mean those two guys have been uh have been pretty clutch and it's good. Like Shane Smith has been a very good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has been.
Um, on the other hand, though, Colson Montgomery, 15 strikeouts in his first 22 at bats.
Oh,
That's bad.
yeah, that's not great.
He's he might be a bust.
It's not trending in a great direction right now with him. I'm not gonna call it yet, but it's been trending downward the past year or so because I'd say in what 2023 it was looking really promising,
It
and then
really
it's just been
was.
downhill.
Yeah.
It's kind of if I was to make a North Side comp, it's starting to look a little Brennan Davisy.
Yeah.
We'll see how the rest of this year transpires, but it's not a great start.
Um, did you see the White Sox new City Connect jerseys?
I thought those were fake.
I did too. They looked like a Bulls giveaway.
Right. But are they fake?
No,
Are you sure?
I don't think so. I don't think they are. Um, SB Nation posting it is real.
Really?
So there's a dude he has a TikTok account and he does all baseball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a range. It's like he'll talk about like best minor league baseball, like alter egos. Um, when there was rumors of expansion cities, he would create a team name and like a uniform identity for them. Um, and just all kinds of stuff related to baseball. And before they were announced, he did some City Connect jersey attempts. And his Red Sox one is almost identical to what the real Red Sox one was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that the Red Sox didn't steal it. That's how accurate it
That
was.
that close, yeah.
Yeah. His for the White Sox was awesome. I loved it. I'll send you a link to it, but essentially it's an homage to like the 80s like White Sox where it's like in like the you know the bar across and so it says
Like the 1983 ones?
yes. So it says Chicago across it in that kind of like font and then above it and below it is like above it is like uh that like baby blue from the Chicago flag color where it's the skyline and then below it is the skyline reflection in the lake. Um and
Oh,
then
that's
across the
cool.
sleeve it's got like the city of the flag, the Chicago flag stars. And then where the laundry tag is, um it's got the pinwheels up from the top of the stadium. Um and it's super cool. And it's got stirrup pants, and the stirrups have the stars on them from the Chicago flag. It was like I was like, man, if the White Sox would have done that, I would have bought that White Sox jersey in a heartbeat.
I mean, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
You'll
Um,
have to send me the link to that, yeah.
yeah, it was. Um, yeah, I will send you the link. And with weird TikTok, sometimes when you try to open the link, it sends you just a random video. Look at the guy's account and go to it. And he's got it. Like his account is fun to watch because it's always different stuff. It's all baseball related.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and Talkman and Benintendi, they're they've got high average. They've got nice averages, but zero power. Zero power.
Benintendi is so weird. He either hits like no homers or he hits 20 homers. Last year he hit 20. The year before he hit like what, five?
It's like he has a dial and it's like hit home runs but no average, hit average but no home runs, and he doesn't know. And it's not it's not a dial. It's a flicker 100% on or off switch.
Yeah, he's either sneaky power or just a complete noodle.
Yeah. Also highest paid White Sox player ever.
Yeah. Wasn't that Rick Hahn's guy he wanted in the draft way back when and the Red Sox got him?
Probably. Um, let's quickly talk Bulls a little bit. Did you see former Bulls great Carmelo Anthony was inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he'll join Billy Donovan in there. And you knew it was coming. I mean, he was a great player, Carmelo Anthony, and I remember wanting him so badly to actually play on the Bulls.
You act like he didn't spend significant time as a Chicago Bull.
Do
I
we have to
wrote
have a discussion here?
I wrote it down so I could define his time with the Bulls. He became a Bull on January 22nd, 2019. And then he was no longer a Bull on February 1st, 2019. He was a Bull for like 10 days.
Was it even that long? Jeez.
10 days. He was a Chicago Bull. Like I crack up. It's just like once you knew he was inducted, I was just like, it was the Spice Adams one where he's like behind the tree and he's rubbing his hands together, ready to go. That meme.
Yes,
It's
yes,
that
yes.
was me waiting for him to be inducted so I could call him Chicago Bulls legend, Carmelo Anthony.
Of course you did.
Uh, Now I got to go get a Carmelo Anthony jersey.
Is it going to say it on his plaque?
I
Is
hope so.
Bulls going to be included on his plaque?
What's fun? It's even funnier is he was a Bull, but if you look at his all time like stats, like nowhere in there does it say Chicago Bulls.
You're gonna go there with a big Sharpie and you're just gonna write Bulls.
Just defacing everything. What are you doing? I'm correcting a travesty.
There is a misprint on this plaque, sir.
He was a Chicago Bull. Look at my
Just
jersey.
uh because you know that Jerry Reinsdorf teams love having just all-time greats on their roster or on their payroll for a time when they are at the very ends of their careers. It is a long list. We had Rip
Uh,
Hamilton. We had Carmelo Anthony. We had Ben Wallace. The Sox had Ken Griffey Jr. The Sox had Manny Ramirez. The Sox had Andrew Jones. The Sox had Jose Canseco.
I forgot they had Jose Canseco. Uh, Sox also had Bo Jackson.
That's true.
Um, but the Bulls, this backcourt of Kobe White and Josh Giddey, I don't know long term how successful it will be, but right now it sure is fun to watch.
I mean, it's kind of been unstoppable. Like they just keep dominating.
And they've got 4 games left in the regular season. They've already clinched a play in.
Yippee.
And I think they could actually make noise. I started just going through the 4 teams there um, are the Miami Heat, the Bulls, Orlando, and Atlanta,
You're talking
and
about the play-in.
the play-in. So Orlando has like the top play-in seed. Atlanta, then the Bulls, then Miami, and if it's ended today, the season, the Bulls would be playing the Heat. But I'm looking at the games, and Orlando's got a tough schedule to finish the season. Celtics, Pacers, um, 2 games against Atlanta, who's right behind them chasing them. And the Bulls have the Heat, the Wizards, the 76ers, and the Cavs. They got one hard game in there. Um, I it's not, and they've got the tiebreaker with Orlando. It would not be outrageous if the Bulls ended up as the top seed going into the play-in tournament.
No, it's very possible. With the way they're playing right now, and when you think about it, if you're just talking about the play-in tournament, any of those other teams, like right now, I think the Bulls can beat any of them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, you know, like Orlando's not terrible, but they're all these teams are sub 500 teams. Like they're all have serious flaws. I think the Bulls could beat any of them. The Bulls could also lose by 20 to any of them as well.
Sure.
Um, but you're seeing definite growth and improvement on this team. And like I said, is I don't know how long-term sustainable it is, but it's so much fun right now to watch Giddey and Kobe and uh, Matas. Like you're watching fun basketball, and they're scoring a lot of points. There's no defense, but they're scoring a lot of points.
They are. Yeah, I mean that's been their mantra all year. And you know what? After Duke choked last night, and that was an insane game. insane game. If you watch the ending of that game, boy, was that crazy. Um, I hope Cooper Flag goes back to school. So then when he goes back to school, if the Bulls inevitably go through this play-in, we don't have to worry about our tiny lottery chances.
Our 1% chance.
Yeah. So then it's like if he goes back to school and you don't get a lottery chance, it's like, well, okay. I don't know. That's my best case scenario.
I mean, I don't see him going back.
Don't crush my dream, man.
I mean, if one of the really terrible teams ends up, getting him, you're like, ah, well, that's what would happen no matter what.
Sure, but at least you would have had a chance if you didn't go far. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up with a little bit of Bears, and there's not a lot. Um, the off-season activity has been announced. So the Bears OTAs will be May 20th through the 22nd, May 27th through the 30th, and June 9th through the 11th. And minicamp will be June 3rd through June 5th. So those are officially the dates. And we have a new backup quarterback.
We do. A guy I talked about is a possibility to bring in back in the late days of Ryan Pace, former Houston and Viking and Commander Case Keenum.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna put this out there. I don't even think did he play in the league last year? I don't think he did.
I don't know if he did or if not, it wasn't much.
Um, he must have been. He must have because he was maybe the year before he didn't. But he helped mentor CJ Stroud.
Hmm.
So I'm guessing that was the reason. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Bajan is going to be gone now. I can't believe that." Blah blah. I don't think so. I think Case Keenum is not meant to play. I think he's almost
He's your
like
coach.
he's like a coach, player coach. He's probably going to be your third string quarterback, and he's going to because he doesn't need the reps. He's 200 years old. He's played in the league for a long time, and he's going to be in the room, and he's going to help mentor, uh, Caleb Williams. That's his job.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they had Trubisky in his rookie year and they brought in Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez never took a snap, but he was there.
I mean, yeah, it's having a veteran quarterback is helpful, even if it's got a guy that's not good. And you know, like Mark Sanchez didn't have a great pro career, but he was a good football player. I mean, he was drafted like fifth overall, something
Hmm.
like that. He was drafted really high. So he was like the last Jets quarterback that played well. um,
I mean, yeah, honestly, he's remembered for the butt fumble more than anything, but he had his moments.
like Case Keenum is not that decorated, but he's had a couple of good seasons in the NFL,
He's
and
had a
he's been
couple of good
around.
seasons. He's started, he's been around, yeah.
He's been around multiple head coaches and offensive systems. He's going to, you know, it's one of those things where coaches can tell you things, but another player that's actually doing the thing is sometimes nice to hear from. They show you how to practice. They show you how, and it's not like Caleb doesn't know how to practice, but just how you do things as a pro, how you watch film, how you practice, how like these are the things you do to be a professional football player for a long time. And this is how you sit in meeting rooms. This is how you take notes when you're watching film. And just those little things. That's Caleb Williams has a really bright future ahead of him. And anything you can do to help accelerate that and move it, move it along faster is what you're trying to do.
Right. And, just FYI, with Mark Sanchez, the Jets made back-to-back AFC championships with him in his first and second year. And if it's any value to you, if you remember, Case Keenum was the quarterback for the Vikings in 2017 when they went to the NFC championship and they had the Minneapolis Miracle. That was Case Keenum.
Yeah. Um, so it's not a bad move at all.
No, and I think that there were plenty of people speculating on them bringing in a seasoned veteran, especially with the coaching change. Now that you have Ben Johnson in here, it's like, okay, now that he's in there, you'd think that maybe he would bring in somebody like that, and they did.
Yeah, and also the other day Ryan Poles was on a podcast and he was talking about, the differences in how they're working, looking at tape and looking at players in the draft. And he said that he's added, like when they're looking at offensive players, they're bringing in the defensive coaches to look like, how would you defend against this guy? And he's like, it's something we've been meaning to do, or I've been meaning to do, but he's like, we started doing that. So you have the coaching staff in there looking at, all of these players and giving their input on how they, how the offensive coaches would use the offensive players, how the defensive coaches would defend against them, and vice versa. And the hope is that, that helps be successful. And Ryan Poles was asked about like Ben Johnson's input on things. He's like, absolutely, he's going to have input. This coaching staff's going to have input. And he's like, my job is, they tell me I need a guy that's fast and tall, with long arms, and if that guy doesn't exist, which of those qualifications do you not need, what you'd want? Can he be everything but short, or does he have to be tall but not as fast? And he's like, I have to find those players and, or figure out, sure, we can identify these players, but then figure out what the proper order to draft them is, because the way the draft plays out, sure, there's a deep running back class, but what if there's a run on it after, after you pick 41, there's a run on them. And so all the good ones are gone by the time you get to your pick 72 or whatever. You've got to anticipate those and factor all that stuff in as best you can. And it's a lot of unknowns. Like, sure, you can mock everything through the first 10 picks, but by the time you're at like pick 20, it's educated guesses, but you have no idea what these other teams
Oh
are
yeah, it
thinking
could be
and
a
doing.
million different things.
Especially this year. This year's going to be, this year is going to be, I'm going to guess the ratings on this year's draft are going to be lower than the last couple, but
Yeah.
this is because there's just not a lot of superstars. And there's no like last year was just superstars. So good. This year won't be as good from that perspective, but it's going to be so much fun because I don't think anybody knows after Cam Ward is pick number 1. I don't think anybody knows what's happening after that. It's wild. Like, I listen to a couple of draft podcasts where they that's what they do for a living is scout players, and they do like mocks with, like, they'll bring in other people that do it, and they'll go through, and it's like every time is completely different because you have no idea. I mean, there's so much parity between picks 8 through 40 that it's a flavor preference almost. So, a guy that you're like, oh, he'll be there at 32 and he's gone at 15. Like, there's a guy that I absolutely would want the Bears to get so bad. His name is Gray Zabel, plays from North Dakota State. And he was a tackle there, but I think he could play probably all 5 line positions. And
Versatility's good.
versatility's great. I think he's probably going to end up being a center or guard long term, but he's really good. Just phenomenally good. good tacticianer and just a big, strong kid. And I'm like, for a while, I was like, I think that he'll be available for the Bears in the second. And now I'm starting to think like, I don't think that dude's gonna make it past 20. And uh, as you start watching, things start to pop up. You're like, man, somebody's got to fall. But like these guys that I want, like I was like, oh, Omarion Hampton will probably be there for the second. So if the Bears don't go Ashton Genty, they can get Omarion Hampton. And you're like, oh no, he might be gone at before 22. You're like, uh, so it's starting to get wild, and it's going to be really fun. We're like 2.5 weeks out, and we'll probably have people with their ears to the ground hear a few things, but before then. But it's going to be fun because that by the time the Bears draft, I have no idea what the board is going to look like. I don't know what their board's going to look like. I don't know what the actual board is going to look like. It's, you know, last year we were just hopeful. We're like, all right, Roma Dunze is either going to be there for the Bears or he's going to go like a pick or two before them. And you're like, you knew kind of what things were going to look like. And this one is just going to be wild.
Yeah, and it's coming up fast. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And also this year, so Ryan Poles, if you look at his top 30 visits, let me see if I can pull some of them up. Um, Bears 20. So, where? Let's just keep pulling. Oh, here we go. The Bears top 30 visits from last year. Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams, Karan Amagaji. Um,
I knew 20 minutes in that I was going to draft Kieran
yeah,
Amagaji.
I mean, but since Ryan Poles came in, he drafts guys from his top 30 visit, and they've been pretty, it's been public knowledge who they bring in. This year, they've kept it under wraps. Like I think they only have a few more, like a week more before they can't bring in anybody else for a top 30 visit. Like they could go to them, but they can't bring anybody else in. And we only know like 8 of the top 30 visit players. So we know Josh Connerly, who's the offensive tackle from Oregon. And he's a guy that people have been talking about as like a potential second round pick, late first, early second. But Mike Tice, remember Mike Tice?
Yes.
Mike Tice thinks he's the best offensive lineman in this draft, period. Um, they brought in Ashton Genty, Will Campbell, the left tackle slash guard from LSU, Nick Martin, the linebacker from Oklahoma State. They brought in a safety from Texas, a cornerback from Texas, a guard from Georgia, a wide receiver from Texas, a running back from SMU. And that's a weird one to me because Brashard Smith is a running back. Like he's talented, he's good, but he's probably only like the 20th best running back in this class, like around that. Like it's a really deep running back class, but he is like he's probably a late round pick, and they brought him in as a top 30 visit. So I wonder if they're like, well, if things really don't shake out well, we want to see which of these guys would fit in our system. And then they brought in Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. And
Related to Kevin?
no, not at all. But he is an interesting one because Dennis Allen talked about him, and he was asked how he would defend him, and he goes, "That guy is a nightmare, a matchup nightmare." And I'm going out. This is where I'm thinking right now is April 6th. I have a feeling the Bears will either draft Ashton Genty or Tyler Warren. Those are who on April 6th, I think, not my mock, who I think the Bears will take. I think it will be one of those two guys.
Okay.
and I can't see both of them being gone. Looking at the way the board is, I cannot see both. One of them being gone, probably likely, but I can't see both of them being gone. And um, either one is going to give uh Ben Johnson just an absolute weapon to totally give it to the rest of the the defensive coaches in this on their schedule.
Yep.
And the last thing I had is uh the Packers had a media thing and they were talking to Matt LaFleur. And do you remember when Ben Johnson first came to the Bears and he was like, it sounded like him and Ben or Matt LaFleur were kind of buddies and he was messing with him like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to beating him twice a year. No, they don't really know each other. And Matt LaFleur was just like, I think he was really upset by that.
Yeah, I thought that was just like a fun ribbing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was like buddies. No, I I don't think so.
Yeah, that was interesting. Because I didn't really think much of it. Like I said, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just buddies ribbing. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and to hear it like, several weeks later from the other perspective, like now I don't really know that guy. I don't know why he said that. uh, you're like, ooh, that means either Ben Johnson thinks that they're closer than they are, or Ben Johnson just really hates his guts. And I hope it's the latter.
Well, again, you want that. I want this Bears team. I want this whole organization to just have that fiery. We're gonna kick your ass. We're gonna tear you limb from limb, figuratively speaking, type of attitude that you saw Dan Campbell and other teams have. I want that burning fire hatred that comes with a team that's really good from other teams. We have not been that in so long.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want this to be, and I don't need Ben Johnson to be out there and be Dan Campbell or be what was the guy that got fired from the Jets that's now back with 49ers. No, he didn't go to the 49ers. He was the 49ers defensive coordinator and then went to the Jets.
Oh yeah, Robert Sala.
Yeah, Robert Sala. Like I don't need a Robert Sala or a Dan Campbell type where they're just so overtly over the top, like, I'm gonna bite your face, I'm gonna kick your teeth. Like, but I want that attitude. I want that.
I want it too.
I want that so bad. I want the swagger. I want it all. I want this team to just go out there and flaunt it and just kick ass. And I
Be
kind of want
hated by other people for being good and tough.
yes. The Bears are weird. The Bears are a hated team nationwide for being bad.
Yep.
And I don't normally people don't hate the bad team. They just laugh at them. No, people hate the Bears. I'm gonna hate. I want to be because we're so good. And
Right.
I want Ashton Genty because I want another in the long line of absolutely stud running backs. And I just want to see him just demolish everybody and give a real play action to Caleb Williams and watch Caleb Williams throw for 400 yards while Genty runs for 160 and just dominate everybody week in and week out. That's what I want. I want that so bad.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
I seriously.
and I was listening to this podcast I call it called NFL Stock Exchange where they just go through and talk about, the 30th best running back in this class and just ridiculous levels. But they were talking about like running backs and they were disagreeing on Cam Scatabo, my buddy. And one of them was like, yeah, he's my third best running back in this draft. And he's like, look at the stats. And he's like, um, and like some of these like more advanced stats, so like, yards, yards beyond expected or whatever. And he's like, he was number two by a mile over everybody except for Ashton Genty. And he's like, Ashton Genty is so good that you're just like, oh, he's so good. And then you're like, you just look at everybody else because it's otherwise the chart is, skewed because he's so much better than everybody else. So,
Yeah.
when people are like, well, it's a deep running back class, I keep saying is sure, it is deep, but at a certain point, you're like, okay, well, this guy's really fast and this guy's a good receiver and this guy's a good blocker. And like, you're like, these guys, they'll probably make it in this league for a long time. But there's one guy that just the eyeball test and the stats just say this guy's way better. So, sure, there's other guys that are very good, but this Ashton Genty has a chance to be special.
Yeah, I've said this before, I say it again. It would be nice to have more of those difference makers that could take the game into their own hands. The Bears have just lacked that so many times. When you watch guys like Saquon Barkley or uh, Derrick Henry or George Kittle, those type of guys who you could just give the ball, throw the ball to, and then they kind of take things into their own hands. A guy that could single-handedly make a difference. Like those are more guys I want, where you don't have to have everything just be schemed or mapped out just so they're, effective. It's like if you want to just give your back the ball and just watch him bowl over and evade guys on his own, like that's what you'd love to see. Oh, that 40-yard run was set up because of some amazing tackle breaking and just some swift moves that he was able to make on his own. You didn't need certain blocking. You didn't need everything to be just so. That guy just took it in his own hands. I mean, when you see George Kittle in his prime just bully guys and just out muscle guys, like I just want more of that. A guy that can turn a game upside down on his own.
There's like these plays and like last year when Saquon Barkley not only leaped over a player, he did it backwards. And
Yeah.
you know that play. It's a poster play. You take that picture and you turn it into a poster and you put it on a kid's wall. I don't know if they still do that these days. When I was a kid, that's what we get a poster of that. And there and going back, this was before I was born, but I've seen video of it. Is back in the day, they would take like college all-stars and then have them face like the NFL champions in a scrimmage game. And Walter Payton coming out of Jackson State, Little Jackson State, Walter Payton was playing against the Steel Curtain defense and he made them all look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely made, if any team rivaled the 85 Bears as the best defense ever, it's the Steel Curtain. And he made that defense look stupid and just embarrassed them with power and speed and agility. And you're just like, that's a dude I want. I want a dude. I want a dude. Like, you look you look at certain players and you're just like, that's a dude. That is a dude. And that's what I want. I want a guy. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a dude, but I want a dude in the backfield that makes his job so much easier. I want the offensive line to be able to block better, and I want every team to respect the Bears running game because they can't if they stack 8 in the box to try to stop it, Caleb Williams is going to pick them apart. And if they try to stop them from picking them apart, then Ashton Genty is going to go off on them. Like, that's what I want, is to put them, the defense, in a position where they're picking their poison.
Yeah, exactly. Right on.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I said my piece.
I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or ShyFanPat2 on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears. Oh, when the Bears go bearing down.